This is my story. This is my song. Praising my Savior all the day long. This is my
There is a time in the life of every nation when heaven can no longer condone the sins and atrocities of the society, and the need for a Messiah sent from the throne of God's justice and mercy becomes imminent. This is the time Abia State, God's own state, where Satan planted the cathedral in recent years, found itself. God's own children have wept out their eyeballs because of gross misrule, occasioned by evil actions and complete dehumanization of the citizenry. Aba, the nerve center of economic activities east of the Niger, popularly known as the Japan of Nigeria, crumbled in the midst of armed robbery, kidnapping, and political brigandage. Infrastructural decay knew no limits. Statutory institutions went down like packs of cards on the table before the wind of corruption and looting that lasted over 16 years. God's own state changed to cry, my beloved country. The people's tears finally reached God's own throne of grace, and he sent forth his faithful and trusted servant to the rescue. And that man can only be one man, Dr. Alex Otti, OFR. The man with a track record for transforming banks under the umbrella of Abga, All Progressives Grand Alliance. Dr. Alex Otti won the hearts of Abians who saw in him the much-needed arrowhead for change. Consequently, Abians came out en masse and voted him and all Abga candidates without winking an eye. In spite of serious hooliganism and political harassment by the key opposition party, PDP, Abga loyalists defied all odds during the governorship election of 2015 and exercised their franchise, giving Dr. Alex Otti more than 25% votes in more than two-thirds spread of the 17 local government areas of Abia State, except in Obingwa, Osisioma and Isialangwa North, where the PDP thugs terrorized the masses and prevented any elections from holding there. Reports of these mad elections reached a state INEC returning officer. It is also important here to note that prior to the election day, the PDP, supported by the incumbent PDP government of the state, commandeered all the genuine electoral materials meant for the three controversial LGAs, where the PDP shamelessly and boldly claim are the three local government areas where they always use, in quote, to the state government house, Omuahia. Then, on the election day, they thumbprinted the materials fraudulently, added fictitious figures to them to ensure they counted the 60,000 votes which Dr. Alex Otti of Abga polled in excess of theirs from the 14 local government areas already collated and announced by the state INEC returning officer, and smuggled the materials and results into the INEC Collation Center. Fully informed of the terrible rigging antics of the PDP in the three LGAs, the state INEC returning officer, in exercise of his powers under the Electoral Act, cancelled the elections due to irregularities.
The rule of law of the Federation says that where election is marred by violence, especially incontrovertible violence, the election results for that area will be cancelled. Now, remember at the beginning I told you that rule of law must be respected here. But the powers conferred on me as the state returning officer and the state collation officer are hereby cancel the election results for the following local government areas: Obingwa, Isialangwa North, Osisioma. Thank you.
This announcement left Dr. Alex Otti of Abia the winner, having secured more than 25% votes in the 14 out of 17 LGAs declared, with a majority vote of 60,000 over his closest PDP opponent.
At the local government level, what do you mean that? And signed by PDP. Me life.
In a swift reaction to the state INEC returning officer's announcement, some top government officials in Abia, in the company of top PDP stalwarts like Chief Olisameto, Chief T.A. Oji, the then governor, invaded the INEC office with armed men and marched the state INEC returning officer upstairs. And only God knows what transpired there. About an hour later, when they came down, the same INEC state returning officer who made the announcement of the cancellation of the results from the 3 controversial LGAs coldly and jitteringly reversed himself, admitting the falsified earlier cancelled results, and declared the election inconclusive. He also ordered for supplementary election in some polling booths in 9 local government areas where there were gross irregularities, late arrival of INEC voting materials, and violence. It was after the April 25 supplementary election in Abia State that Dr. Okezie Ikpeazu of the PDP was declared the governor of Abia. Wow! This was highly unacceptable to Abga and indeed the majority of Abia electorate. And so, Abga and Dr. Alex Otti ran to the tribunal for justice. That tribunal, headed by Justice Usman Buala, failed to understand and address the real issues at stake and passed on an unpopular judgment upholding the declaration of INEC in favor of PDP.
Abia has never had it so bad for some years now. It started with the period of Ojos or Kalu, when many weird things happened. And it continued. And at that time, I think the former governor who succeeded Ojos, that is Theodore Oji, is now a senator, was his chief of staff. They did so many things. It became a habit that when a governor is going, he hoists onto the community, onto the state, his own choice of who will replace him, and goes as far as they could to ensure that that person won the election, including using government money, barring others, doing all sorts of things. And if you remember, Theodore Oji went from prison, sworn in so that he is covered by immunity, and he became the governor of Abia State. It would appear nothing could be done about it. He himself created his own mess, fumbled along, and so on, including wastage of funds. And now, when the time came for a change, he quickly hoisted the new man who went in there. What's his name? Ikpeazu, yes. That election was one of the worst you could see. There's nothing they did not, no crime they did not commit.
A new dawn is here. For 16 years, Abia State was a captive in infrastructural decay. For 16 years, Abia saw no roads. For 16 years, public and community schools remained in shambles. For 16 years, public health services became stories for folklores. For 16 years, the people's mouths were gagged. No freedom of speech, no freedom of expression. But now, with the election of Dr. Alex Otti and the judgment of the Federal Appeal Court on December 31, 2015, Abia State is liberated. For the first time in 16 years, the people's vote counted in Abia State. For the first time in 16 years, the chains of captivity has been broken. Abia State, receive your liberation now. Hail your freedom. God's own state, hail your new dawn. Governor Alex Otti, the right man with your mandate, is here. He has already fulfilled one of his election promises. Don't rig for me. Just vote for me and go to sleep. I will do a new thing. So, all hail Abia, the God's own state, because the man of the people, humility personified, the visionary leader of our time, Dr. Alex Otti, the right man with your mandate, is here. Praise be unto the God of justice. Dr. Alex Otti, OFR, is one of the most educated, civilized and connected Ngwa men with broad international exposure and economic knowledge and experience, so much needed in rebuilding Abia economy. With an enviable background and proficiency in economic matters, he is a highly civilized and patriotic Nigerian who sees the respect of the rule of law, human rights and civil duties as an integral part of responsible citizenship. Dr. Alex Otti believes in fundamental support to the government by paying his tax as at when due, quite unlike most politicians of today who evade tax and only to wait to be pushed into paying many years' arrears en bloc only when they are stifled by unavoidable circumstances. His godly qualities, so much demonstrated by his complete avoidance of any rigging or bribery during the 2015 polls, is a charm that caught the heart of all well-meaning progressive Abians to vote overwhelmingly for him. His love for Abia State made him forsake his highly exalted position as the Group Managing Director of Diamond Bank PLC, with a whole 6.5 years ahead, just to salvage Abia State now at the brink of interment. Dr. Alex Otti's action can only be likened to that of Moses, who abandoned his princely stool in the palace of Ramesses to become a fugitive just to liberate Israel from bondage. Or Jesus Christ of Nazareth, who left his heavenly throne to come and die like an armed robber on earth, just to save mankind. Oh, what a great sacrifice from a patriot in these days of greedy and heartless political leadership. What a spirit of patriotism in an Abian of this 21st century, like Dr. Alex Otti.
We were all committed to ensuring that Abia State moved from the old to a new. Many of us were never given a chance that we were even going to get one candidate in the House of Assembly. At the end of the day, we had nearly everything, and they wanted to steal everything. We did not complain, because the man, Alex Otti, who many of us saw as a man whose destiny was here for the people of Abia State.
With the judgment of the Federal Appeal Court sitting in Owerri, the Imo State capital, on December 31, 2015, the God of justice and fair play came to judgment. The Appellate Court upturned the tribunal judgment and declared Dr. Alex Otti duly elected. That judgment was greeted with euphoria right from the court premises to the whole length and breadth of Abia State and entire nation of Nigeria. It was spontaneous. It was hope again for Abians, both indigenes and residents.
That judgment in the first place was expected because Abians voted Alex Otti for governorship. And we expected the tribunal to have done justice in the first place, but they did not. They did not look at the issues, and they gave that judgment. Now that judgment has been overturned by the appeal court, which we think is royal. People are jubilating, celebrating, people are still celebrating, even up to tomorrow.
I see it as a layman, I see it as that what they have done is right. If it is for what happened during the election, I believe very well that the judgment is fair, it's straight.
The appeal court has done what everyone in Abia State had expected. And this was greeted with euphoria all over the place. Spontaneous euphoria as people had the news that Alex Otti had been declared governor of Abia State by the Court of Appeal. What you refer to as counter voices is expected. Unfortunately, some of them are carrying their misbehavior to an extent that is unlawful. But what you should ask yourself is that if the counter voices were in their numbers, what you should have seen was the same euphoria and spontaneous action that came from supporters of Dr. Alex Otti in Abia State. You should have seen the same dissent on the same very day that the judgment came. It took them 2 days to organize and bring in people from wherever they brought them, a gang of youths carrying machetes and tying red bands across their heads, going about looting things, to the extent that the Commissioner of Police and men of these security agencies had to literally chase them off the streets in Abia.
Although a few PDP loyalists who have found themselves trapped in the sinking ship of an inept government, after some days decided to raise dust on that appeal court judgment. These planned sporadic demonstrations held by misinformed mercenary trouble fomenters of the opposition in Abia State simply go to show how deep the shallowness of the planners is in their understanding of the legal processes in Nigeria. The aim of their sponsors is to influence and preempt the judgment of the apex court by creating a false feeling of unrest among the people and subtly intimidating the judicial gurus in the Supreme Court of Nigeria. But little do they know that the apex court only takes into cognizance the facts and figures laid bare on the table before them and have no business with stage-managed protests or restiveness of few hired hoodlums.
The truth is that Chineke tuwala yuko. When God says yes, can anybody say no? Nobody. I won't know. They are not happy with the judgment of the appeal court. Would they be happy with the judgment of Supreme Court? No.
The majority of Abia State is happy for their liberation and feel sorry for that minority who have been sapping the resources of Abia State in the last 16 years without giving the state anything in return except a stinking name. Contrary to the claims of some renegade Ngwa opposition members who harp on Dr. Alex Otti's nativity, Dr. Alex Otti is a typical sample of an Ngwa son of the soil. In 2013, the whole traditional rulers in Ngwa land unanimously conferred on him the highest and most prestigious chieftaincy title ever in the history of Ngwa land, the Ugungwa of Ngwa land. This title, meaning the pride of Ngwa nation, can only be given to a true son of Ngwa land. So, how could highly revered and respected traditional rulers of Ngwa land unanimously and unitedly confer such a high pedigree honor to a stranger? What else does it take, in the eyes of these medieval Ngwa dunces, to be an Ngwa citizen? Abga members from the local government areas where the PDP incumbent government used to rig the last election are unanimous in their decision and determination to continue their unalloyed loyalty for Dr. Alex Otti and other Abga legislators who in the real sense form the majority in the State House of Assembly.
Right from the time of campaign to election, from tribunals to appeal, you remain committed. You never allowed the display of coffins and the guns and the weapons against you. It never deterred you, but you pushed on and delivered Dr. Alex Otti. He is Moses of Abia.
This mass rally, organized by Okwangwa Progressive Forum, witnessed a large turnout of party faithful from the three misrepresented local government areas of Obingwa, Osisioma, and Isialangwa North. They decided to host it in a private farm to avoid the usual lawless confrontation of the supporters of the incumbent government, while they continue to solicit for the usual characteristic calmness and peaceful disposition of Abga members. The Abga members expressed their gratitude to God for granting them victory at the Federal Court of Appeal and assumed confidence at the Apex Court in a few weeks from now.
Lady Agapujen Kumagaku Webor. I am Manago Wengi, Ibum Kuma, Opano Bebe Papa Sokwane was a little. Lebano, Palangua, Landeli, Lembino, Palimen, Wapando, and they still gather Anama, Chinakamek or Hanamana.
Having achieved the aim of the rally, which is to prove to the entire world that Dr. Alex Otti and Abga won the election decisively in the April polls of 2015 in the three LGAs claimed fraudulently by the PDP, the rally became a free-for-all dancing ground. Certainly, even hell can tell when heaven wins a battle. For whoever God sends on an errand, nobody can stop him. Dr. Alex Otti, the Abga flag bearer at the 2015 governorship election and the governor-elect of Abia State, is on God's own mission in God's own state, Abia State. May God's name continually be praised. Amen. A new dawn is here. For 16 years, Abia State was a captive in infrastructural decay. For 16 years, Abia saw no roads. For 16 years, public and community schools remained in shambles. For 16 years, public health services became stories for folklores. For 16 years, the people's mouths were gagged. No freedom of speech, no freedom of expression. But now, with the election of Dr. Alex Otti and the judgment of the Federal Appeal Court on December 31, 2015, Abia State is liberated. For the first time in 16 years, the people's vote counted in Abia State. For the first time in 16 years, the chains of captivity has been broken. Abia State, receive your liberation now. Hail your freedom. God's own state, hail your new dawn. Governor Alex Otti, the right man with your mandate, is here. He has already fulfilled one of his election promises. Don't rig for me. Just vote for me and go to sleep. I will do a new thing. So, all hail Abia, the God's own state. Because the man of the people, humility personified, the visionary leader of our time, Dr. Alex Otti, the right man with your mandate, is here. Praise be unto the God of justice.